Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM, it is the Open Gym. RJ Saunders here with you. Glad you guys are here with us. The Oklahoma City Thunder are the champions of the basketball world, but the NBA offseason now begins, and we'll turn our attention here towards the NBA draft, and that's where we bring in our next guest. He is our head coach, always gives us a great breakdown that is second to none, whether it's during the NCAA tournament or during the NBA draft. He is Paul Biancardi, the recruiting director for ESPN, as well as their college basketball and NBA draft analyst. So gracious to give us a couple moments of his time. Now, when it comes to the Orlando Magic and who they should select at pick 25, we'll hear people at this station and Gator fans, whether in the state of Florida or abroad, say that Walter Clayton Jr. out of Florida needs to be that pick. Now, in my opinion, he's a small guard. I don't know if he can be a combo guard in today's NBA, but he shoots the ball very well, and what he did last season at Florida and how it culminated into the Gators winning a national championship was absolutely sensational. But where do you see him falling in this year's draft, and how do you think he'll be utilized by an NBA team?
Yeah, he's a great story, RJ. I wrote something on ESPN.com yesterday about unranked high school players that now will be drafted. You know, he was a two-sport star in high school in Florida, right? He played football and basketball. He came up during COVID-19, so that really hampered his recruiting. Coaches didn't get a chance to see him live. He was rated by ESPN as a three-star athlete, which was a mid-major player, went on to Iona, had 3 very good years at Iona, and then obviously made the transfer to Florida. I talked to Todd Golden, and he said that Walter Clayton is one of the most talented shot makers and shot creators that he's been around. Right. And he's a winner. He's a great teammate. He's a well-conditioned athlete. You know, he's everything you would want in a modern NBA scoring point guard. And I think that's what he is. I think he's a guy who thinks scoring first, but he's mature enough and smart enough to make the assist. I think he comes off the bench in the NBA and gives the team some minutes, you know, as the first guard off the bench. He's battle-tested, he's older, and as Todd Golden said, the head coach of Florida, you know, he plays with unwavering confidence. For all these guys, it's a learning curve, whether it's what you got to learn about your own team, what you need to learn about the opposition in terms of scouting, the strength and conditioning. Everything is at a faster speed, and you have to make quick decisions. But I think Walter Clayton Jr. has seasoned himself for this moment, and I think he's a guy who comes off the bench and just ignites a team with his 10, 15 minutes per game.
Well, with that kind of level of promotion, Coach, I think you've probably put fear in the hearts of Orlando Magic fans as well as Florida Gator fans who would love to see Walter Clayton Jr. don the Orlando Magic colors going into his rookie season. If he is to go early, he being Walter Clayton Jr., when we get to the 25th pick in the draft, who are some names that you think will be there for the Magic, or at least they should be keeping an eye on should those guys be in that cluster late in the first round to where they can select them with the 25th pick?
Well, in this particular draft, like the top is pretty secure. You know, top 5, top 6 guys. I think everybody knows who they're going to be and probably have a really good idea of the order right now. But when you start to get to, you know, 25, where the Magic are, all the way to 45, I mean, there's a lot of change. There's a lot of different opinions on where guys could be, how they're going to play out. Will they be first-round picks? Will they be second-round picks? Danny Wolf is a guy. Again, I'm really high on Danny Wolf. I think he's he's somebody who's going to be a late first-round pick. Let me go back into the draft and try to get an idea. I'll tell you a guy I'm really high on. I don't think he'll quite get to 25, but is Will Riley, the young man from Illinois. I've seen him in high school, all of 6'9", shoots it really well, and he is a guy who's a good switch defender. Don't know if he'll make it to Orlando. I love Liam McNeely, who played with Cooper Flagg in high school. I'll tell you what, if Cedric Howard, he's the sleeper of the draft. He's the great unknown. Young man started out, RJ, at Division III, went to Eastern Washington for a couple of years, then Washington State, finds himself in the draft. I think he'll be gone before 25, but if he ever gets to that range, that's a guy the Magic would want to jump on. Great energy player, very good shooter for a guy who's 6 foot long arms. He's going to be a sleeper in this draft. Whoever gets Cedric Howard has done really well in this draft.
Wrapping up our NBA draft deep dive with longtime head coach Paul Biancardi. He is now the recruiting director for ESPN, as well as their college basketball and NBA draft analyst. Just want to shift our attention to the Florida Gators after talking about Walter Clayton Jr. Just how do you think they fare going into next season as the defending national champions? And while we're on the subject, just who are some teams that you're looking at that you believe can make a run at the crown as we inch closer and closer to the college basketball season?
Well, when it comes to college basketball and you have to defend, right, which you just won, there's a psychological aspect that has to be addressed first by Todd Golden and the staff.
Right.
It's a new team, and the backcourt is, I think, going to be sensational for Florida next season, especially with the acquisition of the young man from Arkansas, Boogie Flan. I think he helps them tremendously in the backcourt. And Todd Golden really has to make sure that his team, even though it's new and there's a championship banner being hung up, he's got to keep his group hungry. Right. And that's the biggest challenge for a coach every year. But when you get to a Final Four, and I've been there, and I haven't won it all, but I've gotten to a Final Four, and I can tell you the offseason is very demanding with a lot of distractions, a lot of appearances, and you kind of lose your identity. So Todd Golden has to make sure that everybody's on the same page, when it comes to working and being committed to the goal of winning it again, because that conference is not going to change, the SEC. They have 26 ESPN top 100 prospects coming in next season. So, and you guys lost a lot. You lost Will Richard, you lost Clayton Jr., you lost Aberdeen, but you got Alex Condon back. You got the big guy, Thomas, was it Huff?
Yeah.
And you got a really good team coming back. I like Xavier Lee. I love Boogie Flan. And don't sleep on A.J. Brown from Ohio University. And 2 ESPN top 100 prospects with C.J. Ingram, who grew up right down the street from Gainesville, and Alexander Lloyd. Florida's going to be right there, again, competing for an SEC championship.
Final one for you, Coach, before I let you go, and thanks again for giving us a couple moments of your time, breaking down a couple of draft prospects as well as the NBA draft as a whole. If I could sneak a peek in the next year's draft and the projected number 1 overall selection, DJ Dybantsa, just want to get an idea of how scary is this guy going to be next season at BYU. Like Cooper Flagg, this is a guy that's getting the generational tag placed on him, and this is also a guy that many feel we're going to be astounded by once we see him next year at Brigham Young, and also when he gets his name called to be the number 1 overall pick in the NBA. You've been able to scout him and get an overall feel for him since high school. Just how great of a talent is DJ Dybantsa?
Well, I mean, he's scary good. When you think generational talent, Cooper Flagg's in that discussion. AJ Dybantsa has more upside. Like if he hits, you're looking at a Paul George. You're looking at the athleticism of a Tracy McGrady. There's no doubt about it. Now, will the mental component combine with the physical component to reach your maximum potential? He's got to go through the season at BYU. Big learning curve from high school to college. Right. Huge learning curve from college to the NBA. Has all the tools, has shown us the mentality and the ability to work, to be great. He has very little, if any, entitlement. That creeps in eventually with all players. Right. But he's the real deal along with Cooper Flagg. Darren Peterson is also part of next year's college basketball at Kansas. If you love Cooper Flagg and you like Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey and Trey Johnson, you're going to love A.J. Dybantsa, Darren Peterson, and let's not forget Cameron Boozer at Duke.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be a stud. Yeah. The top of next year's draft is as good, if not better, than this year's draft.
Oh, it's going to be absolutely amazing to see, and I can't wait until next year to be able to break down the future prospects that we're going to have in the NBA. That is Paul Biancardi. He's the recruiting director for ESPN, as well as their college basketball and NBA draft analyst, giving us a deep dive on all things draft. That'll be here just before we know it. Going to be new players on new teams, calling new places home, and we are certainly excited about it. And thank you so much again, Coach, for giving us a couple moments of your time to discuss it.
Always a pleasure, RJ.